ignore the election with me while talking about Vocaloid Mirai Komachi. Mirai Komachi is a Japanese Vocaloid released in 2018 by Bandai Namco. Yup, that Bandai Namco. Mirai Komachi released very suddenly on the Vocaloid 4 engine in May of 2018. When I say girly dropped, like, suddenly, I mean without any notice. I was actually on the Vocaloid shop page, I refreshed it, and then she was there. She also had no demo songs, so we had no idea what she sounded like. Mirai Komachi came out at the very end of the Vocaloid 4 era. And actually, she was the last new Vocaloid release during the Vocaloid 4 era. We had a couple more releases after her, but they were for the Chinese Vocaloids and the Krypton Super Pack, so. Mirai Komachi was an experimental Vocaloid that was never really intended to release, but Bandai Namco released her anyway. She was meant to be like an internal showcase, a private Vocaloid, basically. We didn't even know she existed until she released. She is Bandai's first and only Vocaloid to exist, and they pretty much released her to the public for funsies. Like, usually Vocaloids are a passion project or a financial investment. As a Vocaloid, Mirai Komachi is more of a passion project. But I'll circle back to that in a moment. You might have noticed I am using her whole name, Mirai Komachi. When she dropped, no one understood how her name worked, because Mirai is written in katakana, which in Vocaloid is usually reserved for the first name, but in Japanese structure, the first name is usually last. So if Mirai is her first name, it'd be Komachi Mirai, because Komachi actually has kanji. I actually emailed Bandai about that because it was really confusing, and they responded saying that basically Mirai Komachi is a stage name, and that they were going to unveil her real name soon. That was in 2018, we still don't know her real name. So, Mirai Komachi! I personally call her Komachi out of habit. A lot of people call her Mirai. Bandai Namco wants you to call her Mirai Komachi. It's like Gakpo and Gakupo. Too soon? Okay, so as a Vocaloid product, Mirai Komachi did not do very well. The Vocaloid 4 era was big on this function called cross-synthesis, where you can blend two voice banks of the same character to make them more expressive. Some companies got a little funky with it, like Age Software, which allowed cross-synthesis across most of their Vocaloids. Mirai Komachi was kinda left out of that, because she only had one voice bank. She was also at the very end of the Vocaloid 4 era, like, people already picked up whatever Vocaloid they wanted from Vocaloid 4. Mirai Komachi was just outclassed. Okay, circling back. As a character in general, like outside of Vocaloid, Bandai loves Mirai Komachi. I'm gonna be so real right now. I do not follow this girl outside of Vocaloid, but I follow her Twitter account. And when I say that she is super active, I mean it. She has merch and drinks and albums. The way Bandai posts about her, you would think she was like in the same popularity tier as like Yukari. And that's because as a character, they market her in other ways. Like, yeah, they talk about her as a Vocaloid, but they're mostly focused on her as a character, which is kind of unique in Vocaloid. As a character, her backstory is that she's a futuristic idol. She appeared out of smoke from a failed experiment from Bandai Namco, a la the Powerpuff Girls, and apparently she's a researcher for Bandai. That's like her character lore. Well, Bokoroido.